These are my settings for Black Ops 7. Let's start with controller settings. I actually run Bumper Jumper. What Bumper Jumper is that I actually jump with L1 and I throw my tack with X. That is something that I've done since Vanguard, and it's been something that has helped me a lot with jumping when I didn't have paddles back in the day. I got too used to it. I'm not changing it at this point. Something that I do that's a little bit weird is that I only have one back paddle. I grip the left side of my controller a bit too hard, and I noticed that I was spamming it sometimes. So I swapped to one, and it's been good since. I run the DualSense Edge, the PlayStation Scuff controller, and I have TMR sticks from Battle Beaver on that. That is the best controller I've ever used. Highly recommended over anything on the market. I've used Scuffs, Battle Beavers, Xbox Elite, everything. This is the best controller I've had. So, this is the sense I run. I sometimes swap down to 1.65, stuff like this. I'm trying to slowly up it, but I run mid AR. So, I usually try to keep it a little bit lower than usual. Now, for dead zones, these are my dead zones. What you want to do is you want to move them to where there is the least possible stick drift that you can handle while also being at the minimum threshold. And same goes for triggers. Having this on 70 allows me to have my left stick hit max at the highest possible rate, basically allowing me to move the fastest quickly. So I personally prefer it at 70. Some people prefer it at 75. It's just your choice. I go between both and see what I prefer. Going into aiming, I have my ADS sense at 0.9. I used to be a believer in 1.0. Octane was a big proponent of this, but I personally prefer 0.9. I tried it once, got used to it. I enjoy it. I always have aim assist on, and for the aiming advanced settings, I have it on instant, assist, dynamic, and 100. A lot of people are experimenting with standard, linear, or dynamic, but I personally prefer dynamic, where if I get on somebody, it slows down a little bit. So I'm a fan of that. Now, this might be a setting that is for placebo effect, but go into here and turn off FOV sensitivity scaling. I don't know if it does anything. A lot of people say that it doesn't. Do what you think, but personally, I turn it off just in case. Now, if you run SMG, I highly recommend that you turn this on to on or tactical sprint assist. But if you run AR like I do, I have this off. I run 2 if I have it on and on. But since I have it off, none of these apply. But if you run an SMG, run these settings. In my opinion, it's the best possible. Mantle assist and crouch assist I have off. A corner slice I personally have off. What it does is when you approach a wall, it moves your gun angled a little bit and you kind of tilt around the corner aiming. Personally, I don't like this because your body sometimes peeks out when you're just barely angling a wall, and I want to know whether or not I'm exposed around a corner or not. So personally, I prefer it off. For your slide behavior, a lot of people run different ones. If people run stuff such as tap to slide, they run it on a short delay. But personally, I prefer hybrid. What hybrid is when you click in the left stick, you dive while you are moving. When you have the left stick pushed in but not clicked as if you are sprinting, that is a slide. And that's what I prefer. It takes a while to get used to. Took me personally like a month to get used to, but I think it's really worth it. These are the rest of my settings: sprint restore, slide maintain sprint. Here are my movement advanced settings, although these don't really matter because there's not water in multiplayer, no doors really, and no tactical sprint. But if you want to copy them, go for it. And as for combat, I have all of this set to default. Go into graphics. If you're running competitive, I strongly suggest you go to exclusive. For gamma, I actually keep this at 55. It's a weird thing I've done for years. Not sure why, but I like it. And something new that I am doing this year is I am setting a frame rate limit on my screen and on my monitor. I used to run unlimited and I would get 400 frames, but I'm trying 10 above my hertz rate and we'll see how it goes. But for the most part, I think it's better. I think I get more consistent frames and I think I get less packet loss. So I've been enjoying it. And then these are my settings at the bottom for power saving. For quality, I run these settings. I'm just going to go down, but I run Fidelx at 80. Most people run DLSS, but I have an AMD card, so that's what I prefer. VRAM I have at 80, variable rate shading I have on, and I have everything else at very low, optimized, download limit 16. I have all of these at low or off, except for water, which I have at water cosmetics. I'm not sure why, to be honest, but yeah. For FOV, I currently have this at 100. If you're an AR, some people like having this a little bit lower. If you're a sub, some people like having this a little bit higher. It's personal preference, really doesn't matter too much. For weapon field of view, a lot of people prefer default or wide. I personally prefer wide. I've ran it for a while and I like it. and all of my camera movement and weapon blur settings I have off. And least for audio, I usually have this at like 20 if I'm playing the game, and I have these as like my actual settings. I am experimenting between not using enhanced mode and enhanced mode, and I really can't tell the difference, but it's something that I'm messing with. I run Sucker Punch because it has the tightest dynamic range. I do have asymmetrical hearing compensation on, and something interesting that I do is I have my channel frequencies up. So these are my settings for my channel frequencies. This is certain hertz rates. I'm not gonna play it because I don't want to screw anybody's ears up or tweak ya. But yeah, these are my numbers. And for hit markers, something I enjoy doing is I like favoriting this, and I like changing it from default to classic every once in a while if I want the game to feel a bit more fresh. Got that from Dashy. I enjoy it. And then if you care, these are my voice chat settings. These are my interface settings. Telemetry, something that I've always enjoyed is I have the FPS, the server latency, the packet loss, and the clock on. Now, a lot of people are iffy on the clock, but personally, I like seeing what time it is to know, hey, what time should I get off? What time am I planning to get on? Or something like that. Otherwise, I lose track, to be honest. That's me. I got ADHD. What can I say? For colors, I run 80, 100 with the filter 2 on and both. And for gameplay HUD, I run 20%. I have everything on except for the compass. I have everything on for the HUD info. I have this at default because as an AR, I'm reading the kill feed, and at 5 seconds, it usually is pretty consistent to when they're respawning. I tried medium and long to track people better. Hated it. Messed up my timings. Not a fan. I keep radar and compass off. I do keep minimap rotation on. Now, something that I do that's different is crosshair lines. Some people run static. I prefer off because I'm weird. Crosshair dot I have on, and I run teal as my crosshair color with the damage on. Now, something that I want to get into real quick is I want to show how to do a config file for your graphics settings and how to put it into the game to where you get a couple more frames. Now, I am not saying that you should do this. Do this at your own caution. This could mess with your game, but it's never messed with mine, and I enjoy doing it. I'll give you some guidance on what to do, and I'll leave a link in the description with the config file. Look up how to use it. Look up how to do it if you get confused. Now, before you do this config file setup, what I recommend doing is I would go into your game, go to the account and network settings, turn off clouded settings, dismemberment and gore. Turning off both of these settings allows for the config file to properly load instead of it going through your clouded settings and doing whatever was saved the previous time. Now, first thing you want to do when you get in the config file is you want to extract it, and I personally recommend extracting it to your desktop. And one thing I'll add too is that I got this config file from Allskill, who did my PC optimization. Shout out him. Now, what he actually has in this file is render worker count. And what this is this basically explains what you should set your cores to in the config file to where your PC can be properly optimized. Now, in order to do this properly, you need to know how many cores are in your CPU. So what I do is I go to Task Manager, I go to Processes, I go to CPU, and I look here. I have 8 cores. So what I do is I enter all 3 config files. I scroll all the way to the bottom, and I find this section that says thread count for handling the job queue, and this is the number that it normally is. It says -1 to 16. I change it to 7 because I have 8 cores. Then I hit save. I save all 3 inside of this file right here. And then I open my file explorer. I go to Documents, Call of Duty, Players, and these 3 files I delete and I replace with these once I have the cores switched and saved. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like. Please subscribe. Follow me on Twitch. I appreciate your support. And yeah, it's been Outcast. Take it easy.